All right, today we're going on a journey, but not to some faraway land. We're heading into the psychological underworld, using a dark, gothic tale as our map. This isn't really a story about haunted houses, but about the haunted landscapes of the mind itself. And believe me, it reveals a fascinating path from feeling stuck to becoming truly, sovereignly yourself.
So our story is all about this figure known only as the Wanderer. But as you can see from this quote, his journey isn't across a physical map, it's an inward descent. He's deliberately turning his back on a world of polite lies to explore what's called the psyche's basement. That's the place we all have where we store the stuff we can't face, the raw, primal energy hidden just beneath the surface of our normal, civilized lives.
The Wanderer's whole story really poses this one dramatic question that, let's be honest, many of us face in some way. Do we stay inside a gilded cage, safe but kind of hollow? Or do we find the courage to step into the haunted house of our own spirit? It's a fundamental choice between a comfortable, stagnant life and the terrifying, chaotic, but very real truth of who we are.
Okay, so our journey kicks off with an escape. The Wanderer is actively rejecting what the story calls an architecture of stagnation. And we're not just talking about being bored here. This is a world built on the Pharisees' paradox, a whole society of hollow, performative morality that keeps everyone's spirits gray and empty.
And you can really see that choice laid out in black and white here. Just look at the left column, the gilded cage. It's all about those polite lies and hollow spirits. It's safe, sure, but it's totally stagnant. Now look at the right, the Gothic wasteland. That's the psyche's basement. It's a place of raw, primal energy. It's dangerous, no doubt, but it's real. And the Wanderer is choosing this terrifying reality over a comfortable illusion. So as he journeys deeper into himself, the usual protections of the ego, all those little defenses we have, they start to just peel away. And the world itself begins to transform into this bizarre in-between space, the uncanny valley. This is a real psychological concept where things that should feel familiar and safe suddenly become deeply, deeply strange and unsettling.
And inside this uncanny valley, the Wanderer finds something even more disturbing. He comes across a forest where his entire past has literally taken on a physical form, petrified into stone, just waiting for him.
I mean, think about that. This isn't just like a forest. It's described as the haunted house of the spirit made visible. Every single one of these stone trees is a past pain, a memory he pushed down, a trauma. And now it's standing right in front of him as a solid, undeniable object. He can't ignore his history anymore. It's right there.
And this is just a brilliant illustration of a huge idea from Sigmund Freud, the uncanny, or das Unheimliche. It's that creepy, unsettling feeling you get when something totally familiar, in this case, your own past, comes back in a strange and frightening form. The uncanny valley is literally the return of the Wanderer's repressed self, made real.
So you might be wondering, what created these stone trees in the first place? Well, the answer lies in another key Freudian concept, repetition compulsion. It's that unconscious drive we have to reenact past traumas over and over, almost like we're trying to finally get control over them. But instead of mastering the past, it just traps you in what the story calls the precise geometry of your own failure. This very compulsion built the prison that he's now forced to walk through.
And as if all that wasn't enough, he's not alone in this forest. He's being tormented by the uncanny jester, a figure that represents a kind of nihilistic despair. To this jester, the Wanderer's deep, profound pain is just meaningless noise, a static disturbance, a chemical scream. The jester is the voice of that terrifying fear we all have that this whole journey is pointless, and that our sense of self is just a fractured mirror.
And just as the Wanderer is reaching his absolute breaking point, a new figure appears. And this one offers a very seductive and very terrifying way out of all this pain.
This is it, the ultimate trial of the soul. The daemon of truth shows up and presents a choice, symbolized by an hourglass. The bargain is seductive because it's so simple. You can end all your suffering right now, but it comes at a terrible, terrible cost.
Psychologically, what the daemon is offering actually has a name, Thanatos, or the death instinct. It was Freud's theory that alongside our will to live, we have this deep, unconscious pull towards self-destruction, a desire to return to the profound peace of non-being, to go back to that simple, inorganic state that all life came from.
And this slide just lays the two opposing paths bare. On one side, you have the daemon's logic of zero. It offers the grace of the abyss, a clean escape into nothingness. On the other side is the wanderer's potential path, the logic of one, to actually embrace the struggle, to choose the fire of becoming, and to take radical responsibility for his entire existence, warts and all.
And man, you can really feel the temptation here, can't you? The daemon is offering to just wipe the slate clean. This crimson gift would erase the pain, the endless repetition, the trauma. It's an offer to just end the play because the actors are simply too tired to go on.
So this brings us to the climax. The wanderer, standing there in a forest made of his own failures, has to make a choice that is going to define him for the rest of time.
The question is right there in front of us. After seeing the absolute ugliest parts of his own history made real, after being mocked for his pain, and now after being offered a perfect escape, what does he do? Does he accept the logic of zero?
He says yes, but, and this is absolutely everything, it is not the yes that Damon was expecting. His yes is an affirmation of everything. It's a yes not to oblivion, but to his entire fate. He accepts it all. Not just the good parts, but the stone trees, the failures, the pain. He's integrating his shadow self and taking radical responsibility for every single bit of it. He doesn't erase the past. Instead, he transforms the very fire that threatened to destroy him into the fuel for his own becoming. And this profound act of self-acceptance, it leads to an absolutely incredible transformation. The journey through the darkness wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. This right here is the core lesson. His traumas don't magically disappear. The stone trees are still there. But now, instead of being a prison holding him in the past, they become the very foundation of his new strength. He literally builds his future upon the ruins of his former self. And this quote just captures that victory so perfectly. By choosing to affirm his own painful history, his will pierces right through the jester's nihilistic mockery. The very thing that was his greatest burden, that endless, agonizing repetition of his trauma, is transformed into his greatest victory, a sovereign triumph. He is fundamentally a different being now. He's no longer defined by his trauma, that meaningless chemical scream that the jester saw. By integrating his entire past, he becomes whole. He now creates his own meaning, his own purpose. He is a light that generates its own source. And so we end with this question, for you to take with you. The wanderer's journey suggests that the very things we most want to run from, those parts of our past that feel like petrified stone, they don't have to be a prison. What if, by turning around and truly facing them, they could become the very bedrock of who you are meant to be?